Today I'm going to be talking with Seethrew Gaming. We're going to be talking about our initial impressions with Grounded 2 and some other things. I'm MediocreMilton. You should know that because you're on my channel. We're going to jump right into it. Before we do that, if you end up liking this video, make sure to like the video and subscribe to both of our channels. Link to both of our channels. Seethrew's channel will be in my description, my channel will be in his description, so that we know you're interested in this kind of video and we'll do more of them. So we just got a bunch of topics we're going to talk about today. First one is going to be your first reaction to the game. And I think I'll let Seethrew go first there.
Yeah, dude. The most memorable part of when I started the game was literally walking out of like that first door, like into the actual park, and like all the lighting everywhere. It was just like, whoa, holy smokes! And then I don't know, just seeing like all the bugs walking around. Like, I don't know, it kind of just gave me like a giddy feeling, because we've been looking forward to Grounded 2, even though we didn't even know it was happening. Like, it was, I had always said, everybody asks, do you think there's going to be a Grounded 2? And I was like, they'd be stupid not to do that, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, walking out there was just like, whoa, this is sick. Even though it was at 48 FPS or whatever it was still really awesome looking.
I had slightly better FPS. It was kind of a flashback to the first game, walking out from the little suitcase and walking out and seeing the baseball. So yeah, walking out, and then once you actually get out from underneath the little dark area where you are and you see how big the world is, it was a kind of flashback to the first game. So I always kind of thought it would have made sense for them to have a sequel, but then when they didn't like they mentioned they've shown off they talked about having an animated series, and when they haven't really said anything about that lately. I was kind of like, oh, maybe it's just a one and done game and they're not going to do anything. So I was thinking it might happen when they announced it at the Summer Games Fest. I was thinking maybe it'll happen, but I was genuinely surprised when they said it was happening, and then it was happening so quick. I kind of thought,
yeah, and they were like, boom, 2 months release, and I was like,
yeah, I thought it was, yeah. When they showed it, I was like, oh, it's fine, it'll be out next year or something, and they were like, no, it's coming in July. I was like, that's crazy. So my initial impression, I did a review video, and I was pretty glowing in it for the most part. I played through the whole game, and I had a fun experience playing through it completely blind with nobody out, like no distractions, just playing through the game, enjoying it before everybody else got a chance to jump into it. So I was able to do that and experience it, no spoilers, which was awesome. I know, like you didn't get you just played it day one and were jumping right in with the stream and had so many people watching, which was awesome. So for me, I just had everything was positive for playing through the whole game for the first time.
One thing too that I'll mention is like that almost intimidation feeling of coming into a game that that you've played, for thousands of hours, and just knowing that there's some mystery thing out there that you don't know how to fight. Like, that was like a really cool feeling too, is like, oh my God, I've seen scorpions and stuff in the trailers, and I'm like, what is that going to be like? And I don't have my compliance badge anymore either. So how the heck am I going to stay alive?
Yeah,
so that was a big thing for me, because that was a big build I did in Grounded 1 for sure. I could not live without a compliance badge.
I was very cautious because I was worried, when am I going to run into the first wolf spider? And I was really happy that it did not happen for me for quite a bit of time. I think I ended up actually somehow not even seeing the ones that existed that were like, when you follow through the story and were following it, I didn't even see them all in the first try. I'm trying to remember the first one I saw. I'm pretty sure it was like hours and hours into the game, even though I know like I could have potentially run into them earlier. I'm actually happy about the fact, one of my things with the first game was like, they send you to the oak tree and there's like 3 wolf spiders there. And a lot of people have no idea. They go into the first time blindly and they're just going to get wrecked by the wolf spiders.
Yeah.
But this time it was like, it felt like the starting area was calm like the first one. And as you expanded out, the enemies got like slightly harder, and you didn't really you didn't get into like a really, really tough fight until it felt like you were kind of like prepared for it, maybe geared up for it and stuff like that. But overall, I'm pleased with my experience so far.
And then the first scorpion encounter, which I'm sure that everybody had the exact same one, and I think they planted him there on purpose, is right next to that oak tree. It's like, oh, I need acorns. Let me go get acorns. Oh, a tree, acorns, nice. What's this shiny purple thing on the ground? What the heck? Like, so many people had that same reaction there, and I think they probably loved watching that.
Yeah, the scorpion popping out of the ground was definitely a cool way of introducing you to like the medium-sized scorpion, and then later on you see the bigger ones that are just like, wait, it's like there's a small, medium, and large, and you're like, you think you see the biggest one, and then all of a sudden that one just pops up out of somewhere, and you're like, oh my God, wait, that's bigger than the one that popped out of the ground on me. So The Scorpions are
I do
definitely a
like
cool
that.
addition.
I do like how they kind of added like 3 sizes to a lot of the things. It seems like. Why? Or hold on, is it
No,
just
there's
the
spiders.
Scorpions
You
that
got
they did
spiders.
that?
You have Spiderling. Well, you have Spiderling. You have the Orb Weaver Junior. You have the Orb Weaver. So, and then even the Wolf Spider. So there's 4 of those. They did say in the roadmap that they're going to be adding variations of different creatures because there's 2 cockroaches. Right now, the mantis is just a nymph. So I'm assuming at some point we're going to have a full-grown mantis. Maybe that'll be a boss, and that'll be like a tough fight. So there are multiple
Yeah.
versions of each bug, and it sounds like in the long run they might have maybe they'll have 2 or 3 versions of each bug, with maybe being like a baby version and then the tougher version. So that's a pretty cool too.
Yeah, that would be sick. What was your thought about the buggy for the first time? You got to ride that thing like right off the bat. What was your
I was so happy
like?
because it seemed like it had a bigger stamina bar than me and it ran much faster. So I was like just getting around much faster than you're used to running, because right now you can only get Natural Explorer like 1. So I'm used to zooming
Right.
around the map with Natural Explorer 3, aphid slippers, and an aphid pet, so you're just zooming around the map.
Quickness, dewdrop, and all that
hmm
stuff.
And then the fact it can harvest resources, it can fight. It made fighting. I think it definitely helped with durability on armor early on, because you could just basically use it to kill most of the basic mobs. And then the feature having to use it to get through the roots that's a really cool feature that you have to have it.
What was your? Because me personally, like when I heard buggies, I was like, this is either going to be really good or really bad. Like, what were some things you were like afraid that the buggies were gonna? Well, for instance, we both played Small Land, and the mounts that you get in that game honestly are pretty bad. Let's be honest. Like the grasshopper's kind of cool, but like holy crap,
Now the grasshopper,
impossible to control.
yeah, I died on the
Or
grasshopper so many times by jumping off cliffs or into water and stuff like that. So
and the gecko is like it slithers so much that you can't even drive the thing half the time. And
I would say my biggest concern would be, would it trivialize the game to the point where it was just so easy that we would it would just, I don't know, that it would just make the game too easy. And I don't think that was the case. I guess against basic mobs it's great. You can just run around and just slaughter the mites and the mites, weevils, aphids, even the spiderlings. But when you get against tougher enemies, you can't rely on that thing just to have it like
yeah.
do everything for you. So that was kind of my biggest fear. What was yours?
Mine was going to be that they were just going to get in my way. Like, and it does kind of happen too. Like if I get off my ant and I don't tell it to stay, it'll sit right there where I put it, and I'm chopping the grass stem like 3 times, and then he'll just walk over and stand right in front of me, and then I don't get to chop my tree anymore. I'm like, what are you doing? I do wish that, because they have the stay and the follow feature, but I wish if I had them stay, kind of like you would whistle a dino on Arc to stay. If you get off that dino on Arc, it still stays. Like it doesn't go back to follow unless you like whistle it back. So maybe that's something they'll do in the future. But yeah, I wish it would kind of stay on the attribute you put it on or whatever.
It does seem to get in the way a lot, honestly. It's like, oh, I jump off, and the things that they've shown in the roadmap that they've talked about, for me, it's like going into the anthill with the red ant armor not protecting you. You have to be on the buggy so they don't attack you. But then there's rocks you want to harvest the marble and quartzite. You have to get off the buggy. And then you do that and you try to do it quick so that your ants don't see you. Then the buggy gets in your way and you end up getting on the buggy. So there's just small stuff like that I guess you could probably change it with key binding, but it's like there's the same key bind for like everything as interact. Like on mouse and keyboard, it's like E is everything. And then you're trying to harvest something and then you just jump on the buggy and then the buggy gets in the way. And so I think they're going to address a lot of that at some point in the future.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would imagine we're not unique in our complaints about anything in the game, and we'll probably see a lot of stuff change hopefully here in the future.
Yeah. Well, and here's a topic that we didn't initially have on our list, but I think this is probably worth talking about because it's been hotly debated in my streams and stuff like that. What do you think about the Omni tool? How it exists in the game right now?
Man, you know what? So my very first impression was this is not going to go well, because another game that did the exact same idea, which was one button for the tool for everything, was Towers of Agasba. And for some reason, obviously a lot smaller community, because not a lot of people know what that game is, or probably will ever know what that game is. But the little bit of people that were playing it hated it. And I don't really know why, but yeah, they just took it super negatively. So as soon as I seen it in this game, I'm like, I don't know about this. And me personally, I move around a lot when I play grounded, like a lot more than the average person would, just because, I come from like a huge FPS background and I just like movement and staying moving. So like when I learned that I just have to stand still and chop, 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 I was like, oh man, I can't run circles around a grass blade while I'm chopping it. But it's grown on me. It really has grown on me. There's been a lot of times where I see a grub and I'm like, I should get this grub, or a treasure and I should get this treasure. 9 times out of 10 in grounded one, I would never carry a shovel on me, like for any reason, unless I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna go farm grubs or go to the sandbox or whatever. I would put it in my inventory, but yeah, I would never do it. But yeah, so it's always there when you need it, which is pretty dope.
So
and it doesn't break.
Would you leave it as is, or would you?
Amazing.
A lot of people have said they want it in their hotbar so they can have it in their hand and equip it. Like, would you be okay if they made it take up one slot in their inventory, or would you keep it how it is?
No, I would totally be fine with that. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think I'd be okay with it actually being an equipable tool that you could use, like a multi-tool that you could use for anything. And that would also, free up the what am I trying to say? The keybind or whatever.
Or the inventory space. I mean, the big thing for me was the inventory space. It takes up 0 inventory, so if it took up 1, I'd be fine with it. I don't want it to take up 4. I don't want to have 4 tools anymore. I don't want to have to worry about. I'm happy it has no durability. I can see where, like you're saying now, I didn't really think about that. Walking around and chopping stuff. And the weird thing is, like, harvesting resources in Fortnite, you never stood still when you do that, because if you stood still harvesting resources, you get hit by something, right? So being able to move around freely with it without having it disengage would make sense. It also is somewhat frustrating because, like I said, E is the Omni tool on mouse and keyboard. I guess, and again, I could rebind it, but E's also like pick up something. So I want to pick up a rock and I start chopping a piece of grass. I want to pick up a piece of grass, I start chopping another piece of grass. So I think overall, I like the Omni tool. If they changed nothing about it, I'd be fine. But it sounds like a lot of people would like some tweaks to it, and I'm fine either way. As long as it doesn't have durability, as long as it doesn't take up 4 of my inventory slots, I'm cool with it being either kept the same way or put it in the hotbar. And I think either way, it's good. But overall, I think it's just a good addition. And I like the fact that you have to upgrade it. So it forces you to explore, because you're going to have to go out. You can't just get all the resources to upgrade it. And it's got like different bug parts. But overall, I think it's a good addition to the game. I think it was a good choice.
Yeah, I do too, for sure. I do love the no durability thing. That's actually huge. But I realized I do kind of miss like fighting wolf spiders with an axe. Because that was, I don't know, that was always fun.
They could always add like an axe to the game that just takes advantage of the slashing buffs and stuff like that. They could add something like that, but I guess they'd have to do chopping. Interestingly enough, one of the weapons, something does chopping damage. I can't remember what it is, which is weird because there's no like chopping weapons in the game. But when I was looking at a spreadsheet that had all the info, it had chopping damage on it. So.
Someone the other day mentioned, because you've found like a piece or two of salt in Grounded 2 so far, and I've found a few as well. But someone had mentioned how cool it would be to be able to kill snails with salt, because in real life you dump salt on a snail and it like bubbles up and dies or whatever, dries out. That would actually be such a cool. This is so far off in left field of our topics that we were going to talk about,
but
it just ticked in my head, and I was like, man.
I think
that would be such a wild thing.
I think everybody put salt on snails or slugs when they were a kid at least one time. So hitting it with salt and it just turns inside out would be pretty. It would be pretty funny. That would be pretty funny. It should be like ultra weak to it too. So like if you just touch it with salt, it just instantly just is done. That would be
just throw salt at it and you get to harvest the snail shell.
Well, what if they added the what's that thing called? Is it called the bug assault or something? It's like the gun that shoots salt pebbles at salt like pellets at bugs or something like that. Something like that. They could add something like that to this. You could shoot salt pellets at the snails.
Or if they like left a trail of like goo that you could scoop up with like a canteen or something as they're moving on and use that for a certain material.
I really hope they had like some kind of slime trap that slows the enemies down. So that would be something cool.
I hope they go a little bit more in depth with traps. And I think it'd be really cool to kind of have like the waft emitter type thing where you could really, kind of initiate a raid. That would be sweet. And to have like a stronger base defense.
Speaking of the raids, what do you think about the fact that, so we got the raids happen as part of the story. Apparently you can have the raids never trigger as long as you don't craft a spike trap, you'll never get attacked. So I guess what do you think about the raids in the game now versus the faction activity, and also about like once you complete the mixer they stop? Like, what do you think about both those things?
as far as the raids happen, it's almost exactly every third night, right? Isn't it something like that?
Okay. Yeah.
So
Spirit.
they're more predictable, which is nice, and you also have pretty much like a half of a day warning before they even happen. In Grounded 1, it was absolutely random. Like you were just out farming some stuff, and it's all of a sudden like, "Brr, brr, brr, you're getting raided by wasps," and you're on the other side of the map, and there's nothing you can do. And by the time you get home, everything's destroyed and teared
Mm.
apart. I do like how they prioritize you over your buildings, though, which is definitely cool because that was not the case in Grounded 1. They definitely come hunt you down regardless of where you're at, which is pretty cool. I do like that actually.
What about the mixer kind of disabling them, which then prevents you from farming their parts and getting gold cards and peeping them? What do you think about that?
That does kind of suck actually. I mean, I would assume they'll be back with the next update surely.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know, maybe like when you walk up to the mixer, warning, once you complete this, all orc bugs will be gone. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
I think I'm okay with it doing it if there was a notification was going to happen, because I think the long-term plan is there's a mixer in each like certain zone of the yard. So like this part of the map is like one big, it's 9 mini zones, but it's one big zone. So if each one has a mixer and once you complete it, you're safe from getting attacked, I'm okay with that. Now, faction reactivity is listed in the menus, but it's currently disabled. So that's probably coming back at some point. But I overall, like, I like the raids. The only thing that I was kind of turned off by it was if you're not paying attention and it happens, you can literally just get attacked in the middle of nowhere in the dark. And that happened to me a couple times. I'm running and I just see red eyes coming at me, and I'm like, okay, if I put my torch away and have my 200 weapon out, I'm just swinging blindly. But I mean, it does have a timer, so once that happens one time, you can prepare for it. I like the way they're implemented in this game right now. Like you said, they're predictable. You're always given warning, like there's a countdown clock. And for me, the most important thing is the spike traps actually seem to kill some of them, and the turret is amazing.
Oh,
To the point
turret
where
definitely got the buff that it needed,
I
dude,
really
for
hope they
sure.
don't. I really hope that maybe they could nerf it slightly, because it does kill stuff really quickly. But I'm so happy that there's a reason to build the turret. I make the ammo for it, and I know when the raid's happening, I just jump on my turret and I can take out most of the bugs without having my entire base destroyed. Because without that turret, those raids can actually be somewhat challenging, especially if you're getting hit by the tier 2 enemies.
I really hope. I don't even know, like, how would you as a developer implement the turrets being automated in the future? If they were to be automated, how the heck, like would you maybe hire like worker ants, or like how the aphid did the zipper thing for us in the first game? Like, would there be some way to make it to where the turrets would be automated? Because that would be actually really cool,
I could see that
especially if
being
the reactivity thing happened.
I could see that something being long term, but I think the way they've designed it is like it almost feels like zone to zone you're gonna do raids and they're gonna stop. I think it really depends on the faction activity. I personally would almost like them to not even turn faction activity on, or if they have it, it's like there needs to be some way of knowing that it's going to happen. And I don't want to be punished for where I build, because I felt like when I played at 1.0 Grounded, I built wherever I wanted. It was fine. And then when I came back at 1.4, I felt very restricted on where I could build, because it felt like I found all these cool spots to build, and everywhere I built, I was just constantly getting attacked by mosquitoes. And I was like, I don't want to do this. So auto turrets, I mean, they could address that, because there's auto turrets. Valheim has what the heck? They're the giant crossbow things that shoot stuff. They could do something like that, but it has to be, I think it would have to be later game. So maybe it's like tier 4, tier 5, and maybe it just has to have, I mean, if you're trying to think of the lore of the game, it could be something like you have to, maybe you assemble like a mini burgle or something, or like one of the Tase Tees or Ruz Tees or whatever, and it has to be assigned to it or something. Because I know when I watched the trailer that first time,
being able to set up like electricity pylons that just zap things that get close. Well, I guess technically that goofy orc thing that nobody ever uses. What is that trap thing?
Yeah. That could, I mean,
that could be something like that. But I used them once and it didn't work very well, so I never used it again.
I saw somebody place it down, but then they'd already done the mixer, so the mobs didn't come anymore. So I was like, how does it even work? I mean, I probably could try it out, because I have not finished the mixer yet on either one of my saves. But yeah, I mean, auto turret will be cool, because I thought when I saw the trailer for the first time that the turret was just automatically targeting things. And you can do that. There's other games. I think there's auto turrets in like 7 Days to Die. You can make turrets that are like semi-auto and like scrap mechanic by using sensors and stuff. So I don't know
Mhm.
how far they want to go down in term. I don't see that happening long run because I don't think they want to do automation because they've every time they're asked about like automation stuff, I think they want to like they have all the quality of life stuff with hot depositing and craft from storage, which is great. I don't think they want to have a system where we have like assembly line set up because for me, like I would have loved to have been able to have like one of the little robots going around my house repairing stuff, collecting resources that are on the ground, cooking food for me, making stuff in the oven. I just don't think that's something that'll happen in the base game. Maybe somebody mods it in at some point, which would be really cool. But auto
Yeah.
turrets, I would like, but I don't long run see them. I don't see that as something being part of the game based on what I know right now. So
Yeah, that would also just make the game too good. Can't add automation because it'd just be the best game in the
mm.
world, probably.
hint, 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 hint.
Acorn conveyor belts. Worker ants working on a line. That's going way off in left field for sure, but man, that would be cool.
Grounded factory. We'll do grounded factory.
Grounded
Yeah.
factory,
Yeah.
exactly. What do you think about playground mode coming back? Do you think it's going to be anything more than what it was?
When playground mode was announced, I was the first time I was like, this could be really cool because it'll give people the freedom to it'll like it just expand the content, right? Because the game has a certain amount of content, and now when you see other games like Fortnite, Roblox, those are all user generated content, right? I mean, people are just
Oh
creating
yeah,
tons of cool stuff. So I think if done right, it could work. I think the fact that it's coming during early access makes more sense because the first time it was added, it felt like it was added. It was added, I think, like was it 1.2 or something like that? It was after it was after full release, and it was like
yeah,
way after it. So it was like the hype for the game, the game peaked hype wise 1.0, and then
yeah,
by the time Playgrounds was added, most of the people that like were just coming to it they're gone, like they're one and done, they're going on to something else. So by the time it was added, it was like it felt like it was added a little bit too late. I messed around with it a little bit. I kind of tried to make some kind of like RPG map in it or something, and I think I posted it. I don't know. I didn't spend a lot of time in it. I tried some other people's builds in it. I think it has potential, and I think with the current update schedule they have, if they stick to it, where the updates are less frequent, so big updates but less frequent, playground mode could be a bridge between those updates. Because what you're going to
yeah,
see is people are probably going to complete a lot of they're going to complete the content, and then if there's nothing for them to do, they'll just go to another game. But if there's playground mode
yeah.
and they can build their own stuff, or there's tons of levels they can try for other people, it could keep them engaged with the game longer, and also possibly give the developers ideas from seeing people's creations. You did a lot
Yeah.
in playground mode the first time around, though, didn't you?
I did. The only thing that bugged me about it is it was obviously like a lot of issues with it, plus the stuff that they wanted to continue to keep adding to it. And I went like overboard big time, trying to pretty much make my own game inside of Grounded. And every week they would fix one thing and it would completely destroy my entire, because I was doing a lot of progression stuff to where you had to do this before you could do this and et cetera, et cetera. And then, yeah, I just kept breaking it. So hopefully if it releases, we won't have to deal with that again, hopefully. But,
People,
I guess that comes with anything. And that's happened over the course of Grounded updates forever is they can't fix one thing without another thing falling apart, unfortunately.
that's what happens in early access. That's just software development. Whenever you got a pile of code, whenever you add something, it's going to have domino effects. So people built some really cool stuff in it. So I'm personally interested to see what people build, and I'm glad it's happening during early access so that more people will engage with it. And then by the time 1.0 hits, Playground will probably be in like a really, really good spot so that as people come to the game, maybe they come to it just to play the story, and then they're like, oh, I'm done with the story. Now what? And then they say, oh wait, there's like 50 like really cool levels, or like there's just hundreds of like playgrounds I can go mess around in and get a completely different experience, which is what keep people engaged in games nowadays. That's just what people are looking for, is like almost like the little metaverse thing or something like that. I'm not saying Ground's gonna have a metaverse, but the more content you can let people create for themselves, the more likely you are to have more people try it. So
Do you think now that they have experience with the New Game Plus aspect that they will release New Game Plus with 1.0 Grounded 2?
if they're going to do New Game Plus, I would think it would be there for 1.0. It wouldn't make sense for them to add it like they did this time. They added it this time. Was it? It was it was the last update, wasn't it? 1.4.
1.4, I think. Yeah.
So the only thing with that was that coincided with the release on Switch and PlayStation 4, so there was an influx of new players. For me
Your mic
personally,
keeps cutting out for some reason.
Sorry. For me personally, I did not. I tried New Game Plus. I didn't even try it when it came out. I'm not a huge New Game Plus person. I did end up playing it later on. I came back and did like a complete playthrough by myself and also with my kids, going all the way through New Game Plus. So I think it's something that a lot of people seem to like it. So, but then again, on the other hand,
I like the fact that there's weapons you can only get or trinkets you can only get that are locked behind that. So that's like kind of what motivated me to get involved in it. As I'm like, oh, that's cool.
See, and that's the thing that I was going to say was I heard a lot of people not happy about the fact that you have to play New Game Plus to get everything because they just wanted to get everything in the base game. But if there's nothing, the whole point for New Game Plus is there's got to be something new. Otherwise, why are you doing it? So
yeah, it would be same game plus. Not
right, absolutely, yeah. So it'll be like if they do New Game Plus, I hope they take what they did the first time and they just build upon it, like they kind of did with the overall game, just make it better. So,
do you think Grounded 2 is easier than the first one? Like as far as just like fighting enemies and stuff?
I think right now it feels easier. Like once you get everything, the first, I died a bunch of times. I think I died a bunch of times to glitches. I did die in combat a couple times because I was not geared up. I think like early on, just like the first game, you kind of struggle until you get the gear. There's the first time when the game first released the first time, I honestly didn't play until about like 9 months after launch. I played day one. I've told the story a million times. I played it the first day. There was some kind of larva glitch where we got a trillion larvae killing our house, so I stopped playing it. Came back when a couple updates happened, and it felt really good. But I think back then the Mint Mace was the Mint Mallet it was called, like destroyed everything. I kind of feel like right now if it was balanced better, which I think they're going to do balance patches sooner rather than later. I think it would feel better. Right now I feel like I'm steamrolling everything. Like I don't even have to, if you use the rogue assassin build, I'm just running around with the icicles killing everything. Like nothing's a challenge. Even the bugs are resistant to it.
Since I'm still playing the heck out of it, I just decided just to put the daggers, put the fries in the bag, and just try and use some of the other ones, because I mean it doesn't really seem like there's a whole lot of options. I mean, obviously there's like 10 trinkets, but there's only like 5 mutations, it feels like, that actually benefit combat in any way. So yeah, it feels pretty limited, and you kind of feel like you have to use the daggers. But I've been using that roach club, and it's kind of wrecking things. Not gonna lie, and it doesn't kill stuff as fast as the daggers, so it gets me to kind of keep enjoying the new combat and everything.
I was gonna say it pains me to watch you. I was sitting there watching you kill things with that club last night. It's like first couple hits just like tickle it, and then I think it's once you stun it, they just get like wrecked.
Yeah,
but it's like
massive stun damage.
So it makes the game more challenging. I just think that most people, once they find out the meta, they're just going to stick with it. So I really expect them in the long run to, it's going to get balanced out. Like I really think they're going to balance. I personally think ambush and the assassin mutation, or ambush specifically, I think is just going to get severely nerfed very soon because it's like a one-trick pony right now. Everybody's going to run that to blow through everything and make the game too easy.
And what I think is weird too about that whole system is the fact that ambush is super good for stealthy dagger builds, which is totally fine, but there's almost nothing that makes the other kind of play styles like there's nothing to like benefit any of that. Like if there was like a wizard thing, like maybe there's a mutation that makes your spicy staff shoot 3 projectiles instead of 1 at a time or something. I feel like rather than nerf it, I mean, they'll probably nerf it, right? Ambush, but they need to bring up other stuff that actually, makes it hard to choose which one you want to use today or something like that.
Ambush
I don't know,
works with everything though. That's ambush is your first attack as long as it's a sneak attack. So you can walk up to something with a club and sneak attack and do a tremendous amount of damage. The same thing with it makes cheesing things super easy because the first bow shot, you can do a ton of damage if the mob doesn't see you, especially if it's the weak point. I think the problem is right now, ambush synergizes really well with the assassin mutation and the dagger build itself. And the rogue build's supposed to be like, rogues are supposed to be squishy, but I can just face tank everything and I don't die, so I don't feel like they're squishy. But I think
they did mention before that it was supposed to be like a glass cannon, which if you know anything about RPGs, a glass cannon is you die in 1 hit.
Right.
But
that's
kill
not
things
happening
in 1 hit.
Yeah, this is
you're just you don't get any sort of like health. Maybe that's what it should be. It should be like a trade-off of you can do more damage, but you also take 50% more damage.
Yeah, there's builds in other games I played where if you were doing that build, you would actually drain health over time, or you would be capped on how much health you could have, or maybe you would have no shield, something like that. So it was like there was a huge trade-off. It was like you either have to strike first or you die. So
yeah,
I think in the long run they might do that. I think right now, like you're saying, there needs to be like every build, every kind of like weapon build needs to have the ambush that kind of synergizes with it, where it's like, okay, if I put these two things together, now this build works and I feel it. I mean, I don't know what this is another, we didn't put this in our list of things, but we might as well just talk about it since we're on the topic. I personally think the archetype system, in my opinion, doesn't work the way it's intended to. A lot of people have disagreed with me. I'm gonna see what you have to say about that. But you've played a lot of MMOs, you played ARPGs. You kind of, when archetype, you build into a class and you use specific weapons and armor. And in this game, me personally, the reason I think it doesn't work is because if I want to use bows and all the bows do stabbing damage and bugs are resistant to stabbing, I'm being punished. Now, if they made arrows that did blunt, slashing, all that kind of stuff, I guess you could fix that. Same thing with all the other weapon types. Me personally, I think the easy solution is get rid of the weapon damage resistances and just make it candy only. But like you have a lot more experience, and I think like this kind of building stuff like in MMOs and stuff. So what do you think about it?
Yeah, I totally wish, and I was actually really hoping for it, especially with their whole Minotaurs and Myrmidons like D&D kind of thing that they're going for. I was really hoping that I was gonna like pick Willow, and then I was gonna be able to, say, like, even like, so like more of like a class selection type thing. So like I pick Willow, and I really like spears, so I'm gonna be like the spear version of Willow, and then now when I use spears, I'm just gonna be better with them. So like, or like maybe for instance, like even like chopping grass or something. Maybe you can, I don't know. I just kind of thought there was going to be like classes with this whole thing, like the hype up to the archetype thing. And I honestly don't even see it in the game at all.
I'm the same.
Like,
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but they've kind of come out and said they don't want you to be locked in. But to me, it's like you can solve that real easily. If you like your example, I would agree with that. I think there should be like a mini skill tree. And Obsidian has experience doing this. They literally just did an Avowed. Their skill trees in it. They've done it in their previous RPGs. Have a skill tree for spears. Have a skill tree for bows. Have a skill tree for clubs. Have a skill tree for daggers and sickles. Have a skill tree for swords. You spec into that, and the easy solution is you want to respec. Just use raw science, and you respec your skill tree and put your points back into somewhere else.
That's huge. That's actually huge.
Or just have it not even cost anything. Just let people respec whenever they want. But right now, I don't see, like, I feel the same way. I feel like I'm playing the game the same way I played the first one. Even if I have like a rogue build on, I still have that club in my inventory because I know if I fight a scorpion, I can swap to the club with no club mutation, no build towards it, and I'm going to kill it much faster than I will with my sickles. But overall, I think they definitely need to, I don't know if they want, I don't want you to get locked into something, but I think there needs to be more depth to the archetypes if you actually want to have the archetypes. One other thing I want to kind of get your opinion on is, what do you think? Like, I feel like the game is being, like, the whole archetype system, the armor system, it feels like it's forced co-op. Like, it only works really well in co-op. Yeah. Like, as an example, I made the Ladybug armor. All the heavy armor, when you look at it, it's not called heavy armor anymore, but all the heavy armor, Ladybug, Acorn, one of the buffs on it is essentially it takes aggro from other players. Well, that's a useless buff to me solo. Like, that doesn't provide any value to me, so why would I ever use that armor?
There's a lot of stuff that generates threat, which is completely useless when you're playing by yourself. I noticed that too. And then you got like the ant armor set, which has always been the hauling strength armor to carry more grass blades or stems. And you look at the set bonus and it says the set bonus is increased damage to ants. And then like the orange effect or whatever is like you do more damage to ants based off how many players that are around you with ant armor on as well. So
yeah.
So it's like what?
That's
all right. I guess I'll just throw the ant armor in the trash.
But that's, I think, almost every armor / build in the game is most effective in a group. Which I don't know how many people play. I've always played the game mostly solo. I mean, I've played with my kids. I've played with some other friends periodically, but I normally like to play games solo, and I think you have to figure out how to balance the game for both solo and also groups, and not make, if you're going to have half the stuff in the game essentially be useless for one side or the other, it doesn't really make any sense. So it's almost like and maybe it needs to be, the red hand armor could be increases damage for players around you, or if you're by yourself, does something like they have an or in there. So it kind of something like that. I think that could fix it.
Yeah, that definitely could. Yeah, it does seem like they tailored a lot more towards multiplayer, which is slightly hilarious. Seems like, because it seems like multiplayer is kind of miserable at the moment for a lot of people. But
my experience in multiplayer, the first game was mostly not great, unless I was host. If I was host, it was fine. Mm-hmm. If I wasn't host, didn't really matter who hosted. Even somebody with like a beefy computer, it would not run very well. And the same thing seems to be. I haven't tried co-op this time around, but it seems like a lot of people are saying the crossplay didn't work. Co-op, tons of desync and lag and stuff like that. So it sounds like a lot of stuff carried over from the first game, which is unfortunate because I was really hoping they would work that stuff out, because if you're going to design a game around co-op and that's one of the features of it, you need to make sure co-op works day one.
Well, that kind of makes me sad too, because I really hope that the people that have already played it and got their experience ruined by those problems will, hopefully they seen enough to where they're like, all right, I'm going to come back when it's better, and not just like, okay, I'm never playing this again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
For sure.
I feel like a lot more people are going to say, all right, I'm never playing this again, rather than I'll let it cook and come back. I mean, they just paid $30-$40 for it or whatever.
Well, I mean, if they played it on Game Pass, it's part of Game Pass. You can always come back to it at some point in the future because it's always going to be on Game Pass. So it's, that I really hope this, I was surprised day one, because when my review of the game was mostly positive, because I didn't have any big performance issues because I played solo and I didn't do any kind of mega builds like you do. If you don't know, Seethrew is the mega build guy.
Even me, I don't have any. I mean, the only crash encounter I've had is whenever I was shifting items from inventory to chests, and that just was like a collective thing that just led to me crashing or something. I don't know what it was, but I did report it. But
I had one crash in 30 to 35 hours before release, and I've had probably like 5, 6, 7 since then, and like half the time I don't remember what triggered it. It never seemed to be anything consistent. The game definitely felt like, for some reason, after the day one patch, it was running a little bit more sluggishly for me. I did play last night and had the FPS overlay turned on. I'm getting on a 4090. I'm getting I dropped it to medium settings, 90 FOV, and I'm getting 90 to 140 FPS depending on where I am. If I'm near my base, it's usually around 90. If I'm far away from my base, I'm getting up to 140. I'm okay with that. The big thing is, like, I want consistency. I'd rather have a consistent 100 FPS than jumping from 130 down to 90 and back and forth, because that's where it gets jarring. So
yeah, it starts making you a little sick running around all the time whenever you're like experiencing different frame rates everywhere. For sure. Yeah, I got a 3070 Ti and mine's just 60 and on medium settings, and I didn't even really notice a huge graphical difference from high to medium, so it
really doesn't
look much. Deal for me.
To be honest for you, I played the first game on medium all the way through because it just seemed, especially when I was streaming and recording, it seemed to have a better quality for my recordings and streams when I played it at 60. So I just capped it at 60. I'm fine with that. I mean, I'd prefer to have higher. This game seems to be, I can run this game higher without issue. So I'm at least I'm happy about that. But hopefully they fix the performance issues for everybody, because it is a shame that a lot of people had their experience ruined, because I think you could have had a lot of fun with the game at launch.
Yeah, they really could have just hammered out a few more things, maybe. Just let it cook for another, even though I just really wanted to go. Like, as soon as I heard it announced, I was like, I don't care. I want to play, like, right now. I want to play. And then I found out everybody else got to play earlier, and I was like, oh, I want to play. But then after everything, I was like, you know what? I'm glad I get to play with the community and really didn't get my hands on it early, because I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't have been as motivated, maybe.
Well, I'm going to say I'm on the other side of the fence, so I got it early. The positive is I get to play through the whole game and not get spoiled of everything. I just figured it out. But at the same time, when I streamed it, it's hard to stream a game when I didn't know everything, because obviously I didn't find all the secrets on my own. But I pretty much, like, I know where to go for the story. I know where the bugs are. So it's like I didn't get to share my experience with people
Yeah,
via
your
stream
first
like you
reactions
did.
for everything.
Yeah, so I've seen it from both perspectives. Like the first game, I did not get access to 1.0 ahead of time, so my streams of the game were literally my first impression of it, which was a totally different experience. So there's positives to both sides, and if you avoid spoilers, and I'll say this, even though it's detrimental, definitely to me, probably to you too, is like play through the game without looking anything up. Just literally play through the game and look stuff up when you get stuck. That's the best experience. Don't watch. If you're gonna watch a stream, make sure you're ahead of the person, or just watch the stream after the fact. Because on YouTube, the streams they're on there forever, right? But don't look up guides for everything. Just try to figure things out for yourself. And when you get to the point where it's like, I'm either stuck or I've done everything and I need those last couple things to check off, then you go look up videos for it. You'll just have a much, much better experience, in my opinion.
You know what I think is kind of hilarious is like the domino effect that content has on the community as a whole is like, all right, so for instance, before I was getting on my stream the other day before the whole tarantula arena reveal or whatever the heck that someone found, I was literally flipping through my phone on my TikTok and I came across a video like, oh, tarantula arena found, blah blah blah, and I was like, huh, that's kind of interesting. I go live and everybody's like, did you see the tarantula arena? The tarantula. I'm like, oh my god, guys, like, yes. And then another guy comes in 2 seconds. Oh, the tarantula. I'm like, dude, come on.
I think people just everybody wants to feel like they know something that you don't know. So like, I mean, there are people. I honestly didn't know there were spicy globs in the game. I got the sword and I was like, man, I can't even craft the sword. This is stupid. And then somebody came into my stream and was like, there's spicy globs in the game. And it's like, okay. But then after that was like 100 people coming after it. Did you know there's spicy globs? Did you find the spicy globs? Did you find this? I'm like, guys, first of all, I played the first, they'll tell me basic stuff. I'm like, I played the first game. I have like 1,800 hours in the first game. I know everything about the first game except New Game Plus. I'm not, everything base game I know. So a lot of that translated over here. I also played through this entire game before any of you even saw it. And I saw 90% of the stuff that was in it. The only things I didn't see were some of the secret weapons that I didn't find. That was it. I literally knew everything else. So it's like, you don't need, and then they come in, but then my other concern is they come in and spoil things for other people. Cause I avoid spoilers as much as possible, even though I know the answer to questions. And if somebody asks me a question, I'm like, I'll answer this question, but if anybody doesn't want to hear it, mute the stream for 10 seconds and I'll put my hand up when you can come back. Cause I don't want to spoil things for people that don't want to be spoiled. But literally people just come in spamming everything with spoilers. And it's like, this game was solved pretty much before it even came out, like a lot of other games, because that's just what happens. People have guides on literally everything that you can think of.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I try not to spoil, because I feel like at this moment in time, everybody knows everything at this point, but I still like try not to spoil the last fight because that was just like the coolest part of the whole experience for me.
I don't think I've talked about it at the one thing in the embargo. One thing for the release day videos was do not talk about anything to do with that final POI. Now, in my video, I didn't talk about any story stuff. There might have been, like, all my footage, I went back and re-recorded, like, the first hour. And I edited out anything where there was dialogue between Sloan and the character. So, other than grabbing the Omni tool, which you do in the first 5 minutes and stuff like that, I didn't talk about anything from the story. I just kind of said, you need to figure the story out for yourself. But yeah, people were coming in there talking about the last fight. I'm like, first of all, how are you this far, this quick? And secondly, people don't want to be spoiled, man. Like, they just want to they want to experience for themselves. So I'm not talking about that at all. People are like, what's the best setup for it? I'm like, I don't know, man. Just use the icicles. Like, that's what I use for everything. I don't want to really spoil it for people. When experiencing it for yourself the first time I was shocked. I was completely shocked. And I was like, I thought I had won the fight. And I was like, oh no. And I was like, after, you know what I'm talking, like, that second part happens, I was like, not this, anything but this. Because I'll be honest with you, that was my first experience with that thing in the entire game. I had not come across it up to that point. And I was like,
oh, wow. So, that definitely blew your mind.
I was like, oh my God, no, anything but this.
Yeah, just that door opened and I just got chills immediately. And I was like, this is freaking sweet.
So I guess we're on the story.
Very well done. Very well done story, man. Very, very short, I think.
Well, how long did it take you to finish the story?
I piddle-parted around just exploring and looking at things, and I even saved like the ice cart and the grill or whatever thing like till very last. I piddle farted around and I did it in about 30 hours. And to be fair, I did not know where I was going to be the end. And that's why I say it was kind of short, is because I was like, I felt like the only part of the quote unquote story that I did was literally just walk from the spawn to that location and then the game was over. I was like, oh.
Well, yeah,
I don't even remember any of the in between of that because I was just kind of doing it as I was exploring and looking around.
so for me, I took about 20 hours. I think when I got the message popping up saying you finished the story, it was like just under 21 hours. I had some AFK time in there where I paused the game and walked away while I was doing something. So it was probably about 20 hours. I was shocked when people said they were beating it in 5 hours. But now looking back on it, if you literally just beeline the POIs, especially if you go straight to the final POI, yeah, you can beat it in like real quick, right?
Yeah.
You can beat it real quick, but it's like, to me, I was like, I've played video games for how like almost 40 years. So for me, I know the furthest POI is probably the last one I'm supposed to go to. So I did everything in order. I went chip A, disc B, disc C, and then I did the one that had the number 1 on it. And I was like, I mean, that could have easily been avoided if they just didn't put the way markers on the map. That's one of my minor gripes with modern games is we put waypoints in the map for everything. So it's like,
you know, spoon feed you everything pretty much.
Yeah, and it's like, that's why people speed run it, because if you went into it blind and didn't have any POIs and you just followed if the dialogue was like, okay, we need you to go investigate the picnic table. Okay, then you go to or we need you to go investigate the toxic anthill, right? You would go do that. You would go look for it. And if they just gave you even if they just gave you the zone it was in, I'm okay with that. You just have to find it. You go through and figure it out. Then you go back and you go to the next part. But like, to me, the stuff was even out of order because the second time I went through, I went straight to C. I went straight to the bottom area so I could get the blueberries. I wanted to get tons of blueberries because the first time I didn't find blueberries for like 10 hours because I took my time. I didn't get to the picnic table because I got the chip in A and didn't even go to the picnic table because it looked too scary. I was like, there's spiders all underneath it. No, I'm not going up there. So I didn't even go up there.
It was pretty terrifying to go explore because you just really, really did not know what to expect anywhere.
That's the best part. The first time you play it is you don't know where anything is. You're not like the first game at this point. I feel like I can walk around the entire map corner to corner and never face anything because I know exactly where to walk, how to avoid everything. I know where everything is. And then even like New Game Plus changed up that a little bit, but like in this game, like the first you have no idea what's going to pop out. Is a scorpion popping out? Is a wolf spider going to pop out? Is there a mantis just like hanging out up in a bush? Up in a plant, you don't even see it. So overall, I think the story was okay. It's an interesting story. I think it was a good way of going from the first game to the second game because I was kind of curious how they were gonna, or were we just gonna, the kids are just reshrunk again? Like, are we gonna be in the backyard again? But they've taken a completely new route with a completely new cast of like bad guys and stuff like that. It looks like so. I'm happy with the amount of content at launch. Personally, I thought it was okay. Yeah. If you didn't speedrun it, you could have got a week or two out of it, maybe longer, but we live in a world where people want to do everything as fast as possible. And they want instant gratification. So people have now speedrun the game and they are on to the next thing.
Yep. Which is crazy for me personally, because, you know, I live in a world where I just love the grounded universe and I want to milk it out for everything that it is. And that kind of leads us into like my builds, obviously. But probably the only complaint, like only actual complaint I have about Grounded 2 is like the resource distribution. It really bugs me that I can't, you know, like turn on some music and like pick a route to go farm a bunch of clay and just like, you know, do that kind of brainlessly or whatever without literally having to go to the entire map, like getting 2 clay at a time all the way around everywhere instead of just going to the clay spot and just farming it all and then going away and then going to the pebble spot and doing the same thing. I don't know. I like I don't know. I feel like it makes the world a little more full without having just one specific spot to go get things from. But at the same time, it's just, I don't know. I kind of miss it, I guess, from the first game where there's just like spots you go to get things.
Yeah, the only thing in this game that's like you go to is where the blueberries are. and the
Yeah,
and
there's a ton.
Yeah, and you could literally go through there one time and probably have more blueberries than you're ever going to need. Same thing with the lingonberries. If you clear the lingonberry area out one time, you probably don't have to go back. I agree with you.
Yeah. There's like 125 chunks that you can get from the blueberry field,
Jesus.
which is just...
I've never even harvested all of them at one time. It was too much. I was like, I don't need all this berry.
Yeah, like you would have to harvest the entire hedge in the first game like 4 times to get the amount that you get from one little tiny spot.
Yeah, the thing for me is the whole that gives me a reason to go back there. Right? Like a lot of times if you have most resources available in most areas, then you don't have reasons to go back. Like I feel like it's not only the resources, it's the enemy distribution. Like it's not like scorpions are located in one area of the map. There's scorpions all over most of the map. There's spiders all over most of the map. Pretty much every creature is all over the map. So it's like in the first game, even though like one area I didn't like, my least favorite area to go to was the termite den. But if I needed termite parts, I knew if I went to that part of the map, I was going to find tons of termites. If I needed clay, I could go to like the lower yard area over by the Aphid Island, as I called it, where Rash was. There's a million clay there. I could go farm all the clay there. At one point, before they made it a one-time spawn, you could go to the haze area and get tons of quartzite because there was one spot that had like 7 or 8 quartzite blocks right next to each other. They ended up moving that around, but I agree with you. I think the game would benefit more of like having more of the blueberry thing, but also incorporating those resources from start to finish. Because there's no like it doesn't matter in the first game. You don't need blueberries you don't need blueberry leather at some point. So there's no point to ever go back to the hedge. But if blueberries leather or blueberries were included from start to finish, you'd always have reason to go back there, and it keeps the map like it just makes the game more fresh instead of just standing in one spot and getting everything you need.
Maybe like the tier 4, 5, and 6 armor or weapons in the future require like a lot more than just 4 items to get, and you got to go back and because it still has like a blueberry handle wrap or something like that on it.
I've always thought good game design would be building upon the previous tier. So if tier 1 takes crude rope, pebblets, whatever, sprigs, okay, now tier 2, you either have to make the tier 1 weapon and then upgrade it to get to the tier 2, or you need all the resources from tier 1 and the ones from tier 2. That way, and some people might say, well, that's artificial grind, which is something I don't like, but it keeps, I want everything in the game to have a purpose for as much of the game as possible. And oftentimes I find, it's not just in grind, it's other games, you're going to end up having resources sitting in a chest, and you're going to go back and be like, why the hell did I farm all of this resource that I'm never going to use again? Like, it's just sitting there, never to be used again. Like, you need crude rope now, but by the end of the game, you're going to be using other types of rope, and you don't really need it anymore. It's not needed in any of the armor. So, yeah.
Well, have we talked enough, do you think?
We got a couple more things on the list. You want to do those or save them for next time? It's up to you.
I think we save them for next time.
Let's do the one after story, and then we'll call it there, because I think that kind of plays into where people are right now. So the last topic is going to be replayability, and I'll let you go first on this because I maybe have a completely different opinion.
Yeah. So in its current state, obviously for the gamers that just play to beat the game, like there's not any kind of different way you can beat the game unless you beat it with wolf daggers and then go back and beat it with fists. Or, I mean, obviously you're not going to do that, or at least like the gamers won't do that. But, me personally, I like to build big things. So regardless of how much story there is or how much stuff there is to explore, I lock in and just farm resources and build just because I want to be that guy that makes you say, what the heck is he doing the whole time? So like, but I'm a rare breed, right? Like I don't see a lot of people doing what I'm going to be doing just because, it probably is going to get boring for the average person. If I wasn't a content creator, I probably wouldn't be doing any of this, to be honest. But what's your thoughts on it? I don't know. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
So I'll give my thoughts, and I'm going to see what's your thoughts on how they can make it more replayable, even if it is. I personally don't think the first game is replayable for 95% of people, which is why you see people just play through the story and then they're done. And that's okay. I don't think all games need to have infinite replayability. I don't think all games need to be, you have to play 1,000 hours into them. I think games that you play for 30, 40, 50 hours, and have fun with them, that's perfectly fine. Right now, I'm playing through it a second time, and I'm probably like, I guess halfway through the story, but I'm already kind of hitting the wall where it's like, do I really want to do the same? I've already done the story. So what I'm thinking about, I think I might just switch back to my first world where I've done the story already and just, I want to finish everything. Like I got all the milk molars. I want to unlock all the mutations. I'm going to try to get as many gold cards as possible, stock up on some specific resources, and just be ready so when the next update comes out. In terms of like longevity, I think for me personally, I'm going to stick with it for now, but I can't and with the update schedule being so infrequent, I think it's going to be really hard to keep people playing this game between now and 1.0. I think people might come back for major updates. Like when the boss comes out in the next update, people will come back for it, but that's going to probably keep them around for like a day or two at best. Some people won't even come back for it. They may not come back until there's like a big addition to the map. Other people might not come back until the whole map's finished. Because one thing they always asked in the first go around with the first game was, oh, we want you to restart the game every time we add a big update. Well, I did that a bunch of times, and I'll be honest with you, by the time 1.0 came, I didn't want to play the game anymore because I'd done the same content so many times. I don't think that's fair. On the other hand, when a new update comes out, if you're doing what I'm doing and or you're doing what other people have done, if you stocked up on everything, you're going to blow through that content pretty quickly. I think it's perfectly fine for this game to just have the content it has. For those that want to play it and just play it for 30 hours, 40 hours, have fun with it, and that's it, you play it one time, I think that's perfectly fine. For the smaller number of people out there that want to play the game for 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 hours, or want to build something that is way too big for the game to handle and is completely unnecessary, and I laugh at it every time I save because it's so enormous, that's fine too. Like, I think it's okay for both sides, but I think
Grounded kind of falls in that same category of games like Subnautica, Green Hill, like those games that you play through, put it down for a year, come back, and then relive that nostalgic experience again. Because, yeah, I mean, like, especially like, I don't know, even with New Game Plus, it just didn't really feel like it was the replayability part.
I did not care.
I played one.
I did not like New Game Plus. It was novel for like an hour or two, and then I was like, okay, so what do I? It
kind of got obnoxious. You're like, okay, I see this spider now, and he's got 75 like attributes.
Like, yeah, like the first time you run into it, cool. Okay, we get some trinkets, cool, and then it was like, I can't see myself doing this for 500 hours. Other people can, and that's like a thing. That's the great part. If that's what you like, then you do it. So I'm curious, like how they're gonna. I don't know. I don't think the game needs infinite replayability. The only way I could see it having infinite replayability is if the map was procedurally generated, which is not the design style they chose. And I think it would harm the experience if they went that route with this game, because the first one was handcrafted. The handcrafting of the world makes for one unique experience. The downside is you're never going to get that experience a second time, because you're going to load it up. You're going to walk out of that tunnel after you've killed your couple lawn mites, and you're going to come outside the hot dog truck, and you're going to see the world, and you're going to be like, I know exactly where everything is. And then even in New Game Plus, if they mix up the bug locations and the molar locations, and you have to find those, that's fine, but the story beats are still the same. And it's meant to be played one time and have fun with it for most people, and I think that's perfectly fine. I don't think it needs a...
Imagine if Grounded was procedurally generated, how many YouTubers wouldn't have a job because they couldn't do guides to find certain secret things.
Hey, wait a minute. That could be... Wait a minute. Are you calling me out here? No, I'm yeah, I mean, I like both sides. I love some games that are procedurally generated. I love other games that are not, and the ones that are procedurally generated are the ones I'm going to probably put way more time into, because I can have a different experience every time. I do think, I will say this, I'll close out my thoughts on the replayability. The best way to have replayability is official mod support. If you let people build, and I know playground mode is kind of like, it's like their unofficial way of doing mod support, but if you give people full mod support, they can make some really cool stuff. If you look at games that, like, Minecraft is still popular. I mean, it's Minecraft, but there's so many mods for it. Terraria is made by a tiny team. It's still popular because new people find it, and then they're like, wait, the Calamity mod, that's like the entire game all over again. It's a totally different experience. They're like
Oh yeah,
that's what you
imagine if
need.
modders got a hold of like building things and they just like added thousands of different kinds of walls and things,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah, even just like change bugs, like they
You could
make
change the
their
whole
own types of
story.
bugs.
You could change progression. You could change the map. If you could, yeah, there's all kinds of things. I mean, I've played through Valheim a couple times. I played through it vanilla, but then I played through it completely with like the Epic Loot mod or other mods, and it's a totally different experience. And that's how you get people to have replayability. So again, I don't think it needs to have infinite replayability, but I'm happy. I'm gonna end on a positive note. I am happy with how much content is the game right now, and I'm happy with everything outside of the fact that people are suffering from performance issues. That hasn't really affected me that much, other than crashes, which were slightly annoying. But if they get that squared away, I think the game will be in a good state, and I think it has a good trajectory going forward.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I've had a good experience with it so far. Me personally, I haven't had any crazy, issues with it, but I do hope that they get that ironed out here in this next supposed update that they're talking about doing. And yeah, man, thanks for your time, Milt. This is pretty fun.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. Hope we can do it again.
I enjoyed this. I think me and you could literally talk for like 24 hours straight about nothing. we kind of vibe a little bit, I guess.
If this video gets 10,000 likes, if this video gets 10,000 likes on both of our channels, we'll do a 24-hour podcast.
Yeah, I'll fly to freaking wherever and we'll do a IRL stream.
Yeah, we can meet in the middle. Yeah, we can meet in the middle.
All right, man. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate you greatly. Do be sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing. If you're not, check us both out, whether you're watching it here or there, down below. And yeah, let us know if you want to see some more stuff like this, and we'll see you next time. Peace.